of steel against steel reverberated as the time warp sizzled, transporting them back and forth between ancient times and present day, between a fully functional castle and ruins. Momentarily distracted, their swords locked at the hilt, Roarg looked around at the constantly changing landscape. Gina used that moment to backhand him, then kick him in the stomach with the heel of her boot. He grunted and stumbled back, but managed to maintain his balance. Too bad. Rage turned his face a mottled red. He roared and dove toward her, his hands pulled into his chest and his sword pointed dead on. She stepped back, then lunged forward as he retreated. A game of thrust and parry ensued. A seemingly civilized match of fencing fought with medieval broadswords that had been used by Highlanders to forge their freedoms. She fought for freedom, too, to free the past from a devil of the future before it was too late, and all their lives were irrevocably altered. "You won't win, bitch," Roarg spat, hatred sharing space with the madness glowing in his dark eyes. "The time portal was my secret, my wealth. Everything would have been mine if you'd just left it alone." He punctuated his sentences with each slice of his sword. "Why didn't you die?" "Because I enjoy tormenting you too much, Roarg," she replied, leaping from the ground to a long wooden table as he swung repeatedly at her knees. The loud whoosh of steel slicing air was the only sound in the quiet void between past and present. She jumped over and over again, avoiding the blade. Her leg muscles burned, the heavy boots and sword taking their toll, but she refused to give up. She was the world's only hope. "You won't win. I won't let you destroy the people I love." Sweat poured from her brow, the leather she wore growing warmer as the sun arched higher. The waves of the portal shimmered like silvery heat on Blacktop Road. There wasn't much time, and she needed the element of surprise. Crouching as if in defeat, she waited for his attack. When he drew close enough, she twisted around and swung upward with all her might, slicing his sword arm. His eyes widened, and he dropped the weapon. Without sparing a second's hesitation, she went in for the kill, leaping from the table and slamming her boots into his chest. He went down like a bull elephant, his body hitting the ground with a loud thud and sending up a cloud of dust from the floor. Before he could gather his wits, she jammed the blade downward, rendering his fighting arm useless. He screamed in pain and reached for his sleeve, a crimson trail flooding his white shirt. With one booted heel, she pinned his throat and pointed the sword at his black heart. "Have I ever mentioned how much I hate to be called bitch?" She affected a deep sigh and said, "I'm afraid you'll have to die for that, Roarg." "Cut. Print. That's a wrap, folks. Great job, Gina. Bob." Heaving rapid breaths to fuel her lungs, she was lost in this moment, in the action, the adventure, the pure thrill of besting an opponent. She barely registered the director's words. "Gina, want to get your foot off my neck?" She looked down at the strangled voice of her nemesis, remembering that this was a movie scene. Roarg was the character Bob played, not her real opponent, and she was crushing his larynx with her boot. "Oh, sorry, Bob." She blinked and forced reality to once again enter her mind, lifting her foot and holding out her hand. He grinned, grasped her palm, and leapt to his feet. "You scare me sometimes, Gina," he said, kissing her on the cheek. "I think you enjoy this aspect of your work a little too much, but great job kicking ass." "You know me, Bob. I live for the action scenes, and right back at you on the ass-kicking." Bob walked away, and Gina rested her hands on her hips, breathing heavily. Exhilarated as always after a battle scene, she fought to keep from jumping up and down like a hyperactive child. The shot had gone better than she expected. The last retake they needed to wrap this picture. Jaci, her assistant, hurried over with a bottle of water and a towel. Gina wiped the sweat from her face, dying to take a shower and wash off the thick glop of makeup they'd applied at the ungodly hour of 3 o'clock this morning.